I just dropped my motorbike at the entrance of this forest because the road is getting very bad. Hi all, welcome to the second half of my Tibet documentary. I did this trip last year from Kamdo to Lingche area to Lhasa. And unlike the barren landscapes that cover much of Tibet, this region lies in the Himalaya Canyon and is green and lush. After leaving Yunnan Lijiang, the first place I entered is Mangkang Yanjing, where there is a millennium-old salt farm. About 1,000 years ago, so people found that the water from the well, not from the river, but from the well near the water is salty. So they take the brine and then they let it sun dry. Those are the evaporation pools. There are some salt crystals on top, and under it are the brines. In the past, salt is a very expensive commodity, but now salt is quite cheap. So there used to be a lot of salt farm along the river, but now the other half is almost abandoned. Yeah. It's salty and bitter.
Near the salt fields, there was a small noodle shop. As I parked, the shop owner's daughter warmly invited me in for a bowl of noodles.
老板要碗面哈。
你想要一碗的，还是去那个特色的家家面啊？
要家家面吗？
好嘞。
好的嘛，
扣
那没办
个
法，只能这样了，跟他讲不清，我们谁去都没用。
来了。
得，不改的话，这个笼子是。
家家面, jia means to add and mian means noodle. It starts with a small bowl just enough for one bite. Each time you finish, another bowl is added. That's why it's called jia noodles. But no matter how many bowls you have, the price is the same. So it has become a fun game to eat and to count.
And there is also a bowl of stones, so whenever you eat one bowl, you put one stone. That's the calculator.
你看嘛，人家吃了78碗就也就78口，对，这个意思。
老板多少钱？
给过，我给了。
你们给了？谢谢你了，大哥。
我不小心一起过来。
谢谢，太感谢了。
最高纪录76碗了，女生的话最高纪录51碗，这样的一个的。
哦。
你就知道106的话，在这边终身免费吃面，还有给你500块钱的奖励，还给我们在这边送一个桃花叶一袋，不是那种小小的，就是一袋子一袋。
啊，如果是吃到106碗，
是的，
就封神了，是吧？
是的。
It takes 106 bowls to become the shop's permanent star guest. And of course I didn't make it. But that meal treated by the locals made my day. The region near the salt farm is uniquely picturesque. The village is scattered across terraces in the valley, and the farms are like a radiating green cascade. What makes Yanjing even more special is that it's the only place in Tibet where Tibetans practice Christianity. Its church, built around the same time as the ones in Cizhong, Yunnan, features a distinct Tibetan architectural style.
In Mankang, Yanjing, there is one and the only one Catholic church in the whole Tibetan region. So this is the one, and it has a very close tie to the church in Weixie in Cizhong. And quite amazingly, this church has a Tibetan style. Today it's not the worship day, so there are not so many people. It is closed, but on Sundays you will see a lot of people. In Naxixiang, the main ethnic groups are Nasi people and Tibetans. And today, many Nasi people are Buddhists, whereas the Tibetans, they are Catholic Christians. And the priest who came here earlier, they even translated the Bible into Tibetan language. So they have Tibetan Bible, and they also have songs written in Tibetan.
扎西德勒，
你去哪里啊？
我到前面村子里面逛一逛。大哥，为啥这边的摩托车都没车牌呀？
这边没有，
就不用车牌是吧？
全部是没有。
那这方便了。
方便了，没有。
After leaving Yanjing, I continued north along National Highway G214. In Makang County, I merged onto National Highway G318, China's most famous road, stretching from Shanghai all the way to Sino-Nepal border.
谢谢。
I stopped for one night in Rumei town, and from there the road got worse and full of heavy trucks.
I really want to take over those big trucks, but there are 3 of them. Wow, it's so sandy.
Every year, countless people travel to Tibet. On my way, I saw monks walking, bikers paddling, and motorcyclists pushing forward. Everyone had their own way of making a pilgrimage. As altitude increased, the air thinned, and my speed slowed. At Dongda Mountain Pass, the highest point on G318, I spotted a small figure pushing a bicycle uphill. Then I recognized her, Xia, the young woman who had been in the news recently for walking to Tibet. She's only 28, and before her journey, she had a fresh, young face. But now, after trekking through the plateau, she looked weathered.
你东西啊？这是葡萄干。
给我都是辅助。
哦，行。
都是副作用，知道吧？因为我很少用，但是现在它天气没有冬天的风那么大，所以我不太需要。
After brief chat, I moved on and reached the
牛奶
pass.
喝了，真的，因为马上上山去，你知道吗？太多了。
This is the highest mountain pass on National Highway 318. 5,130 meters.
The wind was strong at this altitude, so I didn't stay long. As I descended, I kept wondering if Xiaxia could make it over the pass before nightfall. At this altitude, every step is a tremendous effort. By evening, I arrived in Bangda. I decided to stop and rest. Tomorrow would be another grueling day on the road.
I only climbed to the 3rd floor, but I am out of breath. So this is my today's room. It's 100 yuan per night, and this is outside my window. This place is called Bangdazhen. It's over 4,000 meters. Very few people chose to stay here because they have the altitude sickness. However, since I came by motorbike, and every day I'm adapting myself, and this time I'm not feeling so bad.
The next morning, I started with another pass to climb. The weather was decent. There was no rain, but some snow. After crossing the pass, I reached the legendary 72 bends of the Nujiang River, a 12-kilometer stretch of zigzagging switchbacks that went steeply down the mountainside. Everyone drove carefully. Reaching the river was a relief, but the road remained narrow, rough, and difficult. In some sections, I was squeezed between massive, steaming trucks.
This feels very difficult.
Finally, after passing through a long tunnel, I arrived at the foot of a snow-capped mountain and a breathtaking blue lake, Ranwu Lake. Ranwu Lake is truly beautiful, but it carries a otherworldly sense of cold serenity. The lake is a striking blue-green, and the surface is mirror-like steel.
哦，那个是你家，你叫什么名字呀？
弟弟家的猪八戒，猪油吃，大不来，妈来了，下来了。
你在哪儿学的呀？你们？
我们知道呀。
啊，在学校学的吗？
我们还没睡。在抖音里面学的。
哦，跟抖音学的呀。
I arrived in Ranwu during the 4th month of Tibetan calendar, Saka month, the most sacred month of the year. During this time, good deeds are believed to bring double merit. So Tibetan Buddhists practice certain rituals, such as to observe a vegetarian diet, walk hora around sacred sites, and make tsa-tsa, small clay Buddha figurines.
Hello. 德勒，加西德勒。请问你们是在做什么东西啊？哦，菩萨的那个。
就是菩萨。
然后放到哪儿呢？
放在那个房子那个。
可以吗？不是，要使劲吗？
累不累吗？
啊！哇，是个小的佛台。放那边。啊，好的，我拿过去。大哥，你们要做几天啊？这个一天，就今天一天是吧？
是。
哦，做完了之后，那些风干的小塔会放到什么地方呢？就一直放到房子里面，然后每年都做一批放到里面。但是对不对？That's your house。加西德勒。Wow. So this is basically the spiritual house of the Tibetans.
Ranwu Lake is a barrier lake formed by debris flows blocking the river. Surrounding it are 6 glaciers. The direct source is a 12-kilometer-long glacier called Yalong Glacier. To get closer to it, I had an off-road trip with locals. First by a car and then by a motorbike.
坐你们的车。行。谢谢大哥，你技术好。
从那边上啊。
行，好。Yalong Glacier isn't the biggest glacier in Tibet. Of course it isn't, because there are a lot of glaciers in Tibet. And as far as I read, the longest one is called Kaching Bingchuan. It's more than 35 kilometers. That must be really impressive. The snow is melting all the time, and look at that, there is a small lake. My both feet are already completely wet. This is just so beautiful. It's so loud because the ice is melting, and it's blue, and you can see some small stones in it.
I stayed in a small wooden cabin. Though there was heating, Ranwu was quite freezing, and I caught a cold. The next morning, I made myself an instant coffee and decided to move to Bo Mi.
Everything's ready. Go.
There were showers on my way, and while pulling out my raincoat, I met a few motorbikers. We rode together all the way to Bomi. Once there, we shared a proper meal. Finally, after days of noodles, we had stir-fried dishes and rice.
今天遇到了2个摩友，所以我的伙食有了明显的提高。我们点了一个青椒肉丝、水煮鱼片，还有一个鱼香肉丝川菜馆。This morning they left very early, and I found this. They left this for me, a Red Bull and a note saying, "Safe journey."
Bomi town is small, yet it took me by surprise. Who knew Tibet had a place like this? The city is surrounded by alpine forest and snow-capped mountains. It reminds me of the famous Chamonix in French Alps. There is a river runs through the town center, and there are several glaciers scattered around the area. Bomi sits around 2,000 meters above sea level. The lush greenery and the mild, humid climate soothed my soul. I stayed in Bomi for a few days and took a short trip to Yalong Valley, said to be a home to a mysterious tree barrier site. I had originally planned to ride there, but the road was simply too rough.
I just dropped my motorbike at the entrance of this forest because the road is getting very bad. It has been about 1 hour and a half. I haven't seen a single person yet, but I've seen some lotus flowers, and they put them in a cup.
In Tibetan, Yalong means sacred place, and this hike made me feel peaceful. The prayer flag took me all the way up. At the road's end stood a monastery, behind which lay a dense forest, the tree barrier site, and beyond that, towering snow-capped peaks. Tree barriers are a tradition of the Loba people, who live mainly in southern Tibet. The Loba believe newborns have pure souls, and when an infant passes away, they tie the body to a tree, hoping that in the next life, the child will grow strong, like the tree itself. From Bomi, I set off for Medog. Although located near India, Medog has no official border crossing. For a long time, the only way in or out was through Bomi. Construction on the road began in 1975, but it wasn't fully open to traffic until 2013, making Medog the last county in China to be connected by a highway. The road remains treacherous, frequently damaged by landslides and avalanches. Early morning, I rode up to the mountain pass, where traces of the past avalanches were clearly visible along the way.
Wow. There is so much snow. I think there was an avalanche. Look at the trees.雪崩路段谨慎慢行, so this is a road destroyed by the avalanche. Wow, this is difficult. It's all big stones.
I stopped at a 4,100-meter high Yalong Glacier pass, a mountain pass next to a glacier. At the time, the tunnel hadn't opened yet, so I managed to sleep ahead of the queue.
Oh, 行。好的。 That's the tunnel. It's still under construction. We have to wait another 20 minutes. 它里边是在修路是吧？
他们每天是定时的，
哦
定时固定要封一次，
哦
马上就通了。
哦，封它
11:40。
哦，每天都是要封一下。
每天都要有。
为啥要封呀？
他们说有可能算一种控制。
哦。
The journey from Burmi to Medog spans over 200 kilometers. To manage the risks, traffic flows in alternating directions, one day in and another day out. Getting out from the tunnel, the road was muddy due to the melting snow, and everyone was careful. As I descended, I began to feel the warm, humid breeze. It was a beautiful ride, with waterfalls cascading the cliffs and lush greeneries spreading in every direction. Arriving in Medog, I was enveloped by a tropical atmosphere. There were tea plantations and banana trees. Medog is pretty small, but swamped with domestic travelers. Everyone wants to see this mysterious border town. I heard accents from all over China and saw car plates from different provinces. The Yalong River winds through the mountains of Medog before flowing into India, while it becomes the Brahmaputra River. It then continues through India and into Bangladesh, while it is known as the Jamuna River, nourishing hundreds of millions of people along the way. On the other side of the river, tea plantations stretch along the road, and local people were picking tea leaves.
Due to the low elevation, it's probably 700 meters now, many other plants that can never be grown in other parts of Tibet can grow here. For example, the bananas, banana trees, and also the tea. 小哥，你们是什么族的呀？
蒙巴族。
那你们说的话是什么呀？
蒙巴语。
蒙巴语和藏语差别大吗？
大哦。
那等于说，你要是去拉萨什么的，你听不懂他们说藏语咯？
听不懂。
哦，蒙巴语。
这边老年人的那些的，您听得懂？
哦，原来是不一样的。If any of you understand the language they speak, please help me to translate. And this is a new ethnic minority that I learned today. So in China, Memba people mainly live in Motuo, Menyu area. They have a very close relation with the Tibetans. For example, they also follow Tibetan Buddhism, but they are different. This is the first time that I see a real old Memba village. The old house is quite interesting, so look at that. The whole house is elevated and there is a big piece of wood here. This is to prevent the mouse from going up. 就几户啦？那大部分人呢？
都搬走了。
搬到哪儿去了？
到二宫那边。
到下面背崩吗？
背崩还要往上格岭那边。
哦，搬走了。
对，搬迁。
So that night, I booked a small room in a guest house in a small village. The woman who picked me up explained that this was a newly built settlement from a government assistance program, and the hostel was run as part of the village collective.
And it is managed by the village committee. Oh, I've got 2 bottles of water and some snacks. 我房间里的，你们可以拿过去。分了吧。
我选这个。
妹妹你拿。
选这个吧。
That evening, the village entrance was lively. People gathered together, women drinking, and men practicing archery.
大哥，你们这边男的都会射箭吗？
会。
你们这边男的都会啊？
对，会。
哇，你们是就是从小就会练这个吗？
我们练的是以前的老剑，现在这流行嘛，然后就开始练这个。
啊。
以前的剑和这剑不一样。
哦。
以前每年都会有比赛，我们这边。
哇塞，还有比赛啊！
对，每年都有比赛，就过年的时候。
啊。
现在改成这响箭了，以前不是响箭。
哦，现在改成了响的，就是这种。
对，响箭对。哎，不得。类似像。
白天拍更。
After spending 2 nights in Medog, I returned to Burmi and continued my journey towards Lhasa. I saw many Tibetan pilgrims in yellow vests walking step by step towards Lhasa. For them, being able to visit the Potala Palace and Zhuhan Temple even once in their lifetime is a profound spiritual belief. That day, I also spotted motorcycles with foreign license plate.
Hello, where are you from?
UK, England.
Wow, and you ride all your way?
Yeah, from Sydney in Australia all the way back to the UK.
Wow.
So halfway.
Wow.
So 7 months it'll take us.
But how did you manage to get a permit to ride in this area? Is it complicated?
We've got a guide through China.
Ah.
We don't need a guide anywhere else. It's just China. We have to have a guide.
Ah, okay.
But he just tells us, this is your next hotel.
Yeah.
And then we get on with it.
So a guide is with you all the time?
Yeah, somewhere he is, yeah.
Ah, okay.
There is 6 motorbikes.
Wow.
6 cars.
So you enjoy it so far?
We absolutely love China. We love it.
Welcome.
It's been our best country so far.
This is for you.
Oh,
this
lovely.
is for you.
Ah, very nice.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
After saying goodbye to them, I continued to Lulang. Lulang is home to one of Tibet's real Alpine meadows, a land of lush pastures and abundant water.
Yalong is one of the greenest places in Tibet, and amazingly there is a lot of pastoral land. This time I stayed with a Tibetan family, and they told me like every morning they go to their pastoral land and then milk the yaks. So I'm on my way to their farm.
冬天我们还是5点半、5点就还是早起来的。天气就是还好一点，冬天还是冷得很嘛，早上。
对。
天不还是冰了嘛，早上早一点起来都是好一些。
After some whisking and also wobbling now, the butter is floating up.
And the container is also very interesting. It's just one piece of wood. That's how a day of the life looks like. Milking, churning butter, feeding, and vaccinating pigs. When the weather gets warmer, there are always more things to do. I stayed in Zhaxigang Village. Many locals have opened guest houses, and my hotel manager took me to the most authentic local Tibetan restaurant. We ordered some sweet tea, Tibetan noodles, and fried potatoes. The sweet tea here is made with fresh yak milk, and the fries are sprinkled with chili and salt. Simple but flavorful. After spending 2 days in Ranwu, I continued heading toward Lhasa. The whole Lingqi prefecture is probably the most beautiful and livable area in all of Tibet. Ever since I left Burmi, I haven't really had any high altitude sickness. The air feels easier to breathe, and every day on the road has been filled with stunning views. From the city of Lingqi, there are 2 routes to Lhasa. One is a famous national highway G318, and the other goes south of the Miling Mountains. After many days of long drives, I was starting to feel a bit tired and just wanted to get to Lhasa. So I took G318. It's a bit faster. In Lingqi, I stopped by Paksongso, a deep turquoise lake. From there, I took a bumpy, pothole-filled road deeper into the mountains and eventually reached Xingcuo, another beautiful blue lake tucked beneath snow-capped peaks. But if I'm being honest, since arriving in Lingqi, I've been seeing lakes, mountains, and waterfalls all day long. I'm getting too used to it, and that my only dream turned out to be having some lazy days with comfy bed, some nice food delivered to the hotel room, and absolutely no bike riding. This dream had been pushing me forward, and on my last day, I went full speed. I broke my record, and I went with my little scooter and covered 360 kilometers from sunrise to sunset. Looking back, I have to say, I really had nerves of steel. As I got closer to Lhasa, the green mountains gradually started to fade. After crossing a mountain pass, the trees completely disappeared from the mountains. I followed the Palong Tsamba River, and by evening, I finally arrived in front of the Potala Palace.
Potala Palace, I'm here again.